had just come out of surgery, and my parents walked out of my room without saying a word. I was alone, and I was terrified. The pain from the surgery was unbearable, but that wasn't what hurt the most. What hurt was the overwhelming emptiness in the room. It felt like something more than just physical pain was gnawing at me. I had been waiting for this moment, my parents, my family, by my side, holding my hand as I woke up. Instead, I woke up alone. But before we continue, please subscribe and turn on the notification bell for updates. The beeping machines and the sterile smell of the hospital were the only things that kept me grounded. I blinked slowly, trying to shake off the anesthesia fog. My eyes darted around the room. No sign of anyone familiar. No mom, no dad. The silence was deafening. I couldn't believe it. Just hours earlier, they had promised they would be there for me, holding my hand through the recovery. They were supposed to be the ones to comfort me. But as I lay in that bed, my body aching from the surgery, I realized they weren't coming. The nurse came in shortly after I woke up. She adjusted my IV and checked the monitors, her eyes avoiding mine. I could tell something was off. Then, a moment that would change everything happened. A doctor walked in, his face grim. He looked at me with pity in his eyes, like he was bracing himself for the worst. "She's in critical condition," he said. The words hit me like a brick. What? Critical condition? How was that possible? I wasn't prepared for this. Wasn't the surgery supposed to make me better? I felt my heart race, panic rising. I was lying there, struggling to grasp what was happening to my body and to my life. Just then, I heard the door creak open. I turned my head, expecting to see someone, anyone, who could tell me what was going on. But what I didn't expect was the last person I thought would show up. I froze. It wasn't my parents. It was Olivia, my aunt, the one person I hadn't seen in years. She stepped into the room with a look of concern on her face, but something about her presence felt wrong. Why was she here now? What could she possibly want? Why didn't she tell anyone she was coming? As she walked closer to my bed, I couldn't shake the uneasy feeling in my chest. What was really going on? And why did it feel like the walls were closing in? I didn't know who this person was, but they were about to change everything. There was something about Olivia's presence that instantly made the room feel colder. I could hardly focus on the machines, the IV, or even the sharp pain in my stomach. My mind was racing. What was she doing here? Why now? My family and I hadn't spoken in months, let alone seen each other. So why would my estranged aunt, who I barely remembered, just waltz into my hospital room like nothing had happened? Her eyes met mine, and for a moment, I wondered if I was imagining this whole thing. She wasn't the kind of person to show up out of the blue. We weren't close, never had been. So why the sudden appearance after my surgery? I watched her take a deep breath before speaking. "How are you feeling?" Her voice was calm, almost soothing, but the hesitation in her words made me uneasy. I swallowed hard, unsure how to respond. I'm okay, I guess. The silence between us hung thick in the air. It wasn't the kind of silence you could sit with. I wanted to know why she was here, what she knew, what was going on behind the scenes with my parents. But I didn't know how to ask. I wasn't sure I wanted to hear the truth. Just as I was about to break the silence, she spoke again, her words cutting through the tension like a knife. "I overheard your parents before the surgery. They don't want you to know this, but things are worse than they're letting on." My heart skipped a beat. What did she mean? What could be worse than my surgery? Olivia's gaze dropped to the floor, her fingers fidgeting with the hem of her coat. "I'm not supposed to be telling you this, but your parents are keeping a lot of secrets. Secrets about why they're distant and why they're avoiding you." I felt my chest tighten. Was this true? Why would they avoid me now, of all times? I thought my surgery would bring us closer together, not push us further apart. Before I could say anything, Olivia stood up, moving toward the door. She glanced back at me, her eyes filled with a strange sadness. "You need to ask them about the accident. It's the only way to understand what's really going on." The door closed behind her, and I was left alone with a million questions, my heart pounding in my chest. What accident? What was she talking about? And why did it feel like something huge had just been revealed, something that could change everything? I sat there in my hospital bed, my mind spinning. My Aunt Olivia had just dropped a bombshell, and now I was left trying to make sense of it all. The words accident kept echoing in my head. What accident? Why would my parents be hiding something so big from me, especially now, when I was vulnerable and recovering from surgery? As the minutes passed, I replayed every conversation I'd had with my parents over the past few months. The long silences at the dinner table. The strained looks when I asked them how they were. The constant rush to avoid anything personal. Nothing seemed to make sense. But now, with Olivia's words hanging in the air, I began to wonder if it all connected. I called my best friend, Maya, immediately. She'd been there for me through everything, before the surgery, when I was scared out of my mind. But now, I needed to know if she'd noticed anything strange about my parents recently. She answered on the first ring. "Hey, are you okay?" Maya's voice was warm, but I could hear the worry in it. "I've been trying to reach you for hours. I'm so sorry I couldn't be there." "I'm okay, but I need to ask you something," I said, my voice shaking slightly. "Have my parents seemed weird to you? Distant? Like they've been keeping something from me?" There was a long pause before Maya spoke, and when she did, her words were laced with hesitation. "Honestly? Yeah, they've seemed off for a while now. But they've always been private about stuff. I thought maybe it was just the stress of everything happening with you, and then the surgery. I didn't want to bother you with it." I felt a lump form in my throat. I hadn't realized that Maya had noticed the same things I had. It made me feel even more isolated. My own best friend thought I was too fragile to deal with the truth, and now I was questioning everything I'd known about my family. I hung up with Maya and stared at the ceiling, trying to piece together the puzzle. My aunt's words haunted me. "Ask them about the accident," she had said. But was it really an accident? Or was it something worse? Then it hit me. If my parents were hiding something this big, something that involved an accident, then how much had they kept from me over the years? Had they been pretending everything was fine just to protect themselves? Just as I was about to dial my parents' number, I heard voices outside the room. My heart skipped a beat. I could hear my parents talking, their voices muffled by the door. They were right outside, but they didn't know I was listening. Suddenly, I heard my dad's voice say something that made my blood run cold. "We need to make sure she never finds out. She'll never understand." My heart sank when I realized what they were really planning. This wasn't just about my health anymore. The conversation outside my door was a slap in the face. I couldn't breathe. What did my dad mean? What could be so bad that they didn't want me to know? My hands gripped the side of the bed, my nails digging into the sterile sheets as I listened intently, hoping they would say more. My mom's voice joined the conversation, softer but urgent. I don't know how much longer we can keep this from her. She'll find out eventually, but we can't let her. I couldn't hear the rest, my heart pounding too loudly in my ears. Was this the accident Olivia had been talking about? Had my parents been keeping something hidden for years? Something that would destroy me if I knew? My stomach twisted with anxiety. They had to be talking about more than just the surgery. There had to be a deeper reason for their coldness, their avoidance. My mind raced. What were they hiding? I couldn't just wait around any longer. I had to know what was going on. This was my life, and I deserved to understand what had happened to my family. I threw the blankets off me and stood up, my legs shaky from the surgery, but the adrenaline coursing through me kept me going. I needed answers. Just as I was about to open the door, my dad entered the room. He looked startled to see me standing there, my face pale from the exertion. "Ava," he said softly, stepping forward. "You should be resting." I didn't care about resting. I needed answers. "I heard you talking," I said, my voice trembling with a mix of fear and anger. "I heard what you said. What do you mean I can't know? What's going on?" His face hardened for a moment before he looked away, avoiding my gaze. The silence between us stretched for what felt like forever. Finally, he sighed and sat down at the edge of the bed. His eyes were filled with something: guilt, regret, fear. It was the same expression he'd had when I was a little girl, the one he used when he had to break bad news. "We didn't want you to find out like this," he said quietly. "But the truth is, there was an accident, and we haven't been the same since." My heart dropped. An accident? This wasn't just about the surgery then. This was bigger, and the weight of it hit me like a ton of bricks.